Well, this is exciting. I don't know how it can be. We're, of course, at Redskins Park. Very excited. And it's the first time I've ever broadcast live from here. And I'm joined by one of my favorite guys in the biz. And I said this yesterday on the show. Always been good to me. And I was trying out for a gig overnights here on this station about 12, 13 years ago. And this man right here came on at 11:30 to talk Redskins with me. And it was a favor I will never forget. Mr. Larry Michael is with me live in the building. Good to see you, Larry. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you here at Redskins Park, too.
It's incredible. I haven't been here since the bubble's gone up, so it's cool to sit here in the studio and kind of look out at that and the big-ass flag. And
yeah, man.
I'm glad we have a little bit of a symbiotic relationship going on here.
It's obviously, for me, kind of a homecoming, right? Because that's where I started with this Redskins gig.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Were you an intern back then?
Yeah, I was an intern for the Junkies.
I think so. Back on Main Street.
That's right. We had the carts for commercials.
Carts.
The big computers and everything. I had to do reel-to-reel. I used to have to tape the beginning of Howard Stern to play at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning. That's how far I go back.
Yeah, man.
I miss Main Street, by the way.
Yeah, it was a good location.
Season's been going pretty good, huh?
Yeah, pretty good, 4-2. What's not to like? I mean, I think what you see is a different type of team led by the defense, which I think a lot of people didn't think was going to happen this quickly. And I really like the leadership ability shown by Jonathan Allen. I think he's really stepped up. I saw it when they beat Carolina, and he didn't want to have anything to do with celebrating that. He just immediately went on to Dallas, and after Dallas, he says, well, we're going to do what we do. We got to look at the next game. And I think that's kind of taken root. I heard an interview with Deron Payne. He didn't say a whole lot, but he said we do what we do about 10 times in the span of 1 minute. So they're not worried about the opposition. They're worried about doing what they do, especially on defense, which is impressive, especially stopping the run, which they haven't been able to do to save their lives over the last couple of years.
They haven't. It makes such a difference. Can you circle back to Jonathan Allen? Because I've had a couple guys that are out here every day say the same thing. And they say, that guy doesn't handle losing well. And after what happened against the Saints took place, that he was apoplectic. And that was the one guy they said, look, this is a volcano. It's not going to sit well with him. They pointed to that specifically. It seems like that's a bit infectious to the rest of that defense. That they're not going to rest on any laurels they've had this year.
Well, I think you're 100% right. And, again, those guys aren't used to losing at Alabama. I mean, they probably lost more games this year than they had 2 years down there. So if you hate losing and you don't tolerate losing, and then winning is something you get used to. And I think with the defense, last week, obviously, it all came together with the edge rushers finally getting in.
Sure.
We hadn't seen that all year. So if you can get that, and obviously with the way the defense is performing, you can count on that defense through the rest of the year, barring any type of injury. And these guys are really solid guys, and they're not over celebrating. I think they're a tight unit. I think also overlooked is the secondary has kind of bonded together, which might not have been the case last year.
Sure.
We saw those stories about Josh having parties that nobody was going to, I was trying to throw a party and had nobody go.
I've done that. That's happened to me in my life.
It's happened to you a couple times?
I'm not going to lie to you.
A birthday party, maybe? I thought it was going to knock him out, man. I really did. I thought because he had never been, even never been in a position like that. I'm a huge MMA fan, huge, and I see all the stuff. I like the fact that Connor is such a good loser, though.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's an incredible loser, which you don't think of that. But I got to try some of that proper 12 real soon.
I got a bottle.
How was that?
It's pretty good.
Is it good?
Yeah. Where are you? Let's get a snort sometime. I'd love to do that.
I would love to do that. Is he overhyping it?
Look, he says it's going to take over for Jameson in Ireland. I doubt that's going to take place. But here's what I will say. It's good enough for me that it doesn't feel like a cash grab. It doesn't feel like a famous guy slapping his face on the cover or something. So let me ask you about that then. I had a lot of problems. Khabib comes out afterwards, and his representation, his coach, and said, "This man's insulting my religion and my father." And I'm like, well, no, he's selling a fight, and you're part of a fight game, and you're benefiting from the fact that Conor McGregor just sold 2 million pay-per-views for you. Because that guy in his wacky hats, as great of a fighter as he is, he didn't sell any fights to anybody outside of Russia. My problem is, okay, but if you're going to attack somebody for what they're saying to promote a fight, you can no longer be part of the fight promotion process. You cannot be trusted. And that's what Conor's always done, and I respect him, is that he's such a good showman, but then afterwards completely respectful of his opponent, the situation, and humble in defeat. And I think that's what you got to do.
Well, you know, I got an opinion on this. I think that when Conor fought Floyd, those press conferences were epic. Those press conferences all went over the line.
Yes.
There was all kinds of comments made during those press conferences. I think they gave Conor the feeling this is how you got to hype something to really draw some money. And I think with that fight, he saw an easy target in Khabib. He's not going to talk anything back to him. He's not capable of talking back to him. So he just opened the floodgates. He said, I'm going to just let it out there to sell this fight. And there was a guy, a kind of a heavy-set ball guy, sitting right there smiling ear to ear. His name's Dana White. Mm-hmm. He loved it. He loved it because he was stoking the fire. But, you know, Khabib afterwards, I mean, that was just, I mean, again, I was at a fight in Madison. I did a fight in Madison Square Garden. It was Riddick Bowe and Andrew Golota. And by the end of that fight, there was a riot in the entire Madison Square Garden, which could have gotten ugly. Somebody could have gotten seriously hurt. So when you get out of the cage and you do that, he deserves, what, they extend the suspension now? I don't know. I didn't see the latest news.
They said that they're keeping $1 million of his fight person. Both of their suspensions have been extended at this point.
Well, they'll lift the suspensions when it's time for the rematch. But Conor said that he's ready for the next man in line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he wants to fight. The Diaz fight is obviously something I'd like to see because that's just going to be great theater. But I don't know who else Conor's going to fight. I mean, you know, Tony Ferguson, I don't think so.
I want to see him fight Khabib.
Yes.
That's the fight that I want to see.
Yes, because, you know, and again, it's pretty obvious Conor gasses, okay?
Yeah.
That is not going to be the way he's going to win. He's going to have to come out there and knock him out in the first 2 rounds, or he will lose.
Well, that's why the Diaz fight was so tough for him, because he's hitting Diaz with shots that would drop anybody else, and Nick Diaz doesn't go away. So I think that's why he gassed out. I'd like to see him, Larry, at this point, as a guy that knows the fight game, he's kind of elevated himself above titles. I'd love to see him fight GSP. Like, I'd love to see him take some of these.
That's a good match.
It would sell 3 million pay-per-views.
It would. I think GSP is just too big for him. But
yeah.
But you know, and again, you know, you look at all these fights. I look at what's going on with the heavyweights and Cormier. I mean, he's out of there. How long is he going to be around? I mean, he's in for maybe 6 months more.
I think it's kind of crappy that he held both titles, and they're saying not only do you have to fight Derek Lewis, who can knock anybody out in one punch, but by the way, that guy that screwed you over 100 times because he can't stay clean, we're giving him a title shot, his first fight back in John Bones Jones. I feel like he gets the short end of the stick every single time.
Yeah, he does. And Derek Lewis obviously talked his way into that shot.
He's entertaining, man.
He's great. Yeah, I've been following him for a long time. That was that's not the first time he said something like that.
Oh, no.
He's always saying stuff like that.
He fell asleep at a press conference once. They went to go ask him a question, and he was asleep on his hands. I love that guy.
He said something about his wife. I couldn't believe when he said it. I couldn't believe he said it, and not many people have repeated it. I'm not going to repeat it, but
you can't repeat it here, I don't think.
I don't think so. I don't know. You know, back in the old days, you might have tried to.
Well, back when you and I were at Washington Talk Superstation.
Yeah, the Superstation, you could basically try to say anything, and they'd slap you on the wrist. I was asking somebody about fines the other day because I heard something come from the sidelines during the broadcast. Can you get fined for somebody on the field saying something? No, you can't get fined. The station can't get fined.
I don't know who runs the parabolic mics. I mean, who are the guys, the camera guys, all those big dishes?
Effects feed. So back in the day, we had parabolic mics, but all those guys got fired.
They did? Everybody always gets fired.
Yeah, you get a feed. You get a feed, and that just eliminates a bunch of jobs. I don't just see you here, man.
It's unbelievable. Do you have a time limit? I had a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
I don't think Schwartz knows this as a radio file. You called, was it the Artie Lange basketball game?
I called 2 things. I called Crazy Cabbie versus Stuttering John.
That's unbelievable that you called that.
At the Trump Taj Mahal.
He did the play-by-play for that.
It was a decent fight, and then Artie Lange played a women's basketball player in the parking lot of Hard Rock, and Artie Lange was on fire. He had hit about 5 3-pointers.
A lot of the backboard action, whatever.
Just killing it. But then he started taking drinks from the fans, which really grossed me out because he'd grab this drink and throw it back. I mean, obviously he got a little problem. Over here, grabs it, and he was gassed. And the female backed him down into the paint and just wiped the court with him. The fight at the Taj Mahal was ridiculous because I got there at 6 a.m. and Howard's a nice guy in the world, gave me a nice gift afterwards, and the place was packed. And the next night, Holyfield fought in the same venue at the Taj Mahal for the heavyweight championship. About 1,500 people there. So Howard drew a crowd. That was good stuff.
Crazy cabbie fighting, stuttering John.
What do you think about the Redskins? You got to be psyched about this. So I'm pretty cautiously optimistic.
You know me. I've been a fan. My grandfather was a fan. My dad's a fan. I'm a fan. I'll always be a fan. I don't know. These people, I was taking calls on Monday, and these people were calling in like they lost the game. And they want to put Colt McCoy in, and I'm saying, I don't understand. I know the game has changed. I know the rules have changed. Those three guys in the middle and their ability to play defense, and Adrian Peterson, why aren't they carving statues to everybody in the front office who said, bring in Adrian Peterson? He was on the slag heap, and that guy's one of the best backs in the league. And I feel like because it's the Redskins, if anyone else would have done this, it's going to be at the top of the crawl in Sports Center for the entire duration of the season. That guy's an unbelievable talent. He still had it, and this team brought him in, knew it immediately, and now he's one of the best players on their offense. There's so many good stories about this season already, and I don't feel like it's being discussed enough.
I agree. I saw where you and I were lumped as the all-time homers. Somebody wrote that somewhere.
That
I forget where that was, but I'm excited when they play well because I live it every day, and then you actually have something to feel good about. And they've obviously had a plan to build the defense. Is it great yet? No. It's a top 5 defense statistically, but they're again lacking because they had their bye already. So
Sure.
when everybody catches up, we'll see where they end up. Is there room for growth on offense? Heck yeah. I mean, Alex Smith barely done anything yet, and he's a pretty good quarterback. And you're missing a bunch of guys. I'd like to see him get the ball to Jordan Reed a lot more, but they're trying to take him away because who's the other weapon?
Sure.
There is no other weapon. So you get Crowder back, and I think you're right. I think the acquisition of Adrian Peterson, I can remember the day after Geis went down, we were in Richmond, and people were literally in mourning. It was a day of mourning. We got back from New England. People were wandering around. Oh, my God, this kid's done.
It felt deflated.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, AP, well, how much gas he got? How much gas? How big? And then somebody says, not how much gas he's got. It's how big's the tank.
Yeah.
What? This somebody's got a huge tank. He's got a huge tank. Or he's refilling it every 5 minutes. And you know what? Real classy dude, man. I mean, you get to know these guys coming in here, and he's just very professional. It's rubbed off. He's rubbed off on the offense. I think the offensive line thrives under him. I think you can see them. They're trying to get yardage for him. Some of the holes have been ridiculous. Then defensively, I think they thrive off that D-line. Because those guys are in charge. You could say, all the talk, the guys in the D-line are in charge of that defense.
It's crazy, too, though, because I think it was Quentin Dunbar, I forget, but there's some players on this team that had to look up to him, that when they were, becoming football players. Adrian Peterson's the best football player in the league, and now he's inside the locker room.
Yeah. I mean, how could a guy like Rob Kelly or Chris Thompson? It's AP. I mean, those guys were playing Madden as AP.
Yeah.
Right?
Just like I did.
Yeah,
just like I did as well. Hey, I got to ask you a question. You work with Cooley every week. He came on with the morning show. He used a very interesting term. You brought up Jordan Reed, and that's the one thing that's bamboozled me. Is you said Alex Smith and Jordan Reed. Well, that's 1,200 yards, and that's 10 touchdowns right there. Sign me up. He said that Smith had been sold a bill of goods on Jordan Reed, and it sounded like he was talking about his ability to win one-on-one matchups. I don't know if you heard those comments, but it was an interesting way to turn the phrase, and I was curious if you had a comment on that and what is going on between Smith and Reed.
Oh, I don't think bill of goods would be a way to say it, Cooley. He said that.
He did say it.
Sold him a bill of goods.
Said that on the Jets.
It's kind of a negative thing to say, but anyway, I mean, I think Jordan Reed is being taken out of a lot of plays, and again, he needs to be on the field more. I think the coaching staff would admit that. I think Jordan Reed's body control is ridiculous. A couple of catches he made, that one-handed catch where he spun around a couple of games ago and kept on right, had a great touchdown where he reached over the goal line earlier this year and got a touchdown. But that chemistry just isn't there yet. I mean, they haven't had enough time. And for those who want to look back, lack of reps in preseason, we'll forget about this by next preseason. But maybe they need to play a little more in preseason to get that chemistry when they didn't have it. I think it'll come, though. I think it'll come. Jordan Reed is just a remarkable weapon, but they've been concentrating on stopping him. And so, you got Paul Richardson out last week, and Crowder, and Chris Thompson. I said at the beginning of the year, here's my statement, Cooley. I said at the beginning of the year, if Jordan Reed plays 16 games, the Redskins will win 10. I said that to those guys. I said it to Cooley. I said it to Sonny. If he's on the field for 16 games, the Redskins will win 10. Ah, he ain't never going to be out there for 16 games. Well, we're 6 in. He's looking pretty good. He's healthy.
And they're on pace to win 10.
Let's hope. Thank you, sir.
Certainly are so
Thank
far.
you,
You kept you too long. You worked all day already. Let me ask you this, though. The Giants. They have had Giants teams that had nothing to play for, and they had everything to play for. I don't know how much 1 year matters to the next, but this is a one-win team. They're trading away players, but Vegas is calling this a pick 'em. I think trap game is a bit of a trope at this point, an old cliche, but give me a couple of things they need to make sure they focus on going up there with those swirling wins to get this win.
Well, you know, they stopped these backs, right? Kamara, they stopped. They stopped Elliott. They stopped McCaffrey. They stopped David Johnson. Stopped Barkley. Not as worried about Odell Beckham. He's got 5 touchdowns, but Eli Manning, at the slightest trace of a rush, he falls. He's been sacked like 24 times already. So their offensive line isn't very good. So stopping Barkley, to me, is the #1 goal. The other thing, kind of simple, windy day, I think it might be raining, they said maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Give the ball to AP. Give the ball to AP. I mean, he's going to move into 9th place all-time rushing. He'll pass Tony Dorsett in this game. A couple touchdowns will tie Riggo for 6 all-time in rushing touchdowns. And while that passing game finds some chemistry, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. Stop Barkley. Give the ball to AP. I think that's a winning formula because, and you know how tough it is. The Redskins, you know, they've been beaten by the Giants in some horrible moments.
Horrible.
Last year's one. The year before. Seems every year. It's either, last year was a 500 record or was it going to the playoffs? It was the year before.
Yes. Both. One was 500 last year and then went playoffs the year before, yes.
And both times what happens, you know, I think that's what makes this different. I think because of guys like Jonathan Allen and the fact they've been so focused, that cliche one game at a time mentality is something